What is up, everybody? This is Chase, and welcome back to the Wellness Center podcast, where we are destigmatizing mental health one episode at a time. Everyone, I am so incredibly grateful that you guys are here with me today to hear another amazing story of resilience, to hear some amazing lessons, to learn some amazing skills, and to take all of this amazing stuff into your weekend with some skills and some hope to help you cope. Guys, I'm super grateful. And I can't even begin to describe how excited I am for today's episode. Guys, plan on this probably being a part 1, part 2, just because of all of the amazing lessons that are going to be taught today and all of the awesome stuff that that's going to be shared here. So guys, as you're listening to this episode, I've got 2 huge favors to ask of you. First, if you're not a part of the Wellness Center tribe, please make sure to smash that subscribe button, hit that follow button, whatever you're doing on whatever platform, to make sure you're getting notified on when all of these episodes are releasing. I'm doing them weekly. They come out on Fridays. I want to give you something that you can take into the weekend and help you out. So that's my first big ask, guys. Please join the Wellness Center tribe. It's free. It's going to stay free. My whole goal is just to give you value, to give you experience, to give you skills, to give you life, to give you hope. That is always going to be free. It's not something I ever want to take money off of. It's just something I want to give to you guys as value for you because you deserve it. My second big ask of you guys is to help me grow the Wellness Center tribe. So as you're listening to this episode today, I invite you, please be thinking of your friends and family. Be thinking of those people that you know could use these lessons, that could get some value from the teachings taught today. And I invite you to share it with somebody. Not only is that going to let them know that you care about them, that you value them, but at the same time, they just know you love them because you're giving them value. So guys, without further ado, I don't have much more to say. I want to bring on my phenomenal guests so we can really start bringing in the power here. This is going to truly be a one-of-a-kind episode. This will be unlike anything I've ever filmed before. It's going to be so much fun. So guys, my guest, he is a former professional dancer turned relationship coach. He is a world traveled with experiences in Japan and Bangkok that shaped expertise in the male and female dynamics. He is deeply rooted in teachings from the Mankind Project and the PAX, the Program for Human Development. He is mentored by esteemed experts like Dr. Pat Allen, Dr. John Gray, and Dr. Esther Perel and Shanti Feldhan, and is passionate about teaching others to harness feminine and masculine energies for building and fulfilling romantic relationships. So without further ado, I have the one, the only, the world famous Andre Paradis on the show. Andre, how are you doing today?
Hear the legends old and new. Wisdom flow like rivers true. Share your heart, the stories thrive. In this cast we're all alive. Oh.
Well, with an introduction like this, it's kind of like, I'm like, wow, that sounds, who's that guy? Oh, wait, I'm that guy.
You are that guy.
I don't think of myself that way, but I'm a fortunate man. We talked earlier, I'm in Los Angeles, I live in Paradis. I have everything. My life has developed from a very challenging beginning to having everything I want. So I'm beyond grateful and spilling over. My cup is spilling over, and I want to help people like you, help them, guide them. How do you relationships in this modern days? It's very complicated, and so that's what we're here. Bring some value and some information, some details, all that.
Yeah, absolutely, we are, and it's going to be cool. This is going to be one of the most raw conversations I've ever had. And I'm really looking forward to it because I know you're the type of guy that will bring it, right? We were talking before, and we were talking about how God gives us these higher callings. And Andre was saying that his higher calling is this. So, he's passionate about it. So Andre, what was kind of that moment for you where God spoke to you and said, hey, this is your higher calling?
Well, it took me a lifetime to get here, really.
Yeah.
I have like 3 phases to my life.
Okay.
That, the dancing professional, like traveling the world for 20 years, dancing, choreographing, and with some major stars, Michael Jackson, Prince, Paula Abdul, Julio Iglesias. I mean, these are the people I I made it to the 1%. Like I made it to the top.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a beautiful, fantastic journey. Part of this is dancing saved my life.
Okay.
I came from a not so great beginnings, and I didn't know why I was here.
Okay.
I felt that I was a mistake. I shouldn't be here. So I didn't think I was going to stick around very
Okay.
long.
So
Yeah.
let's dig into that. Why?
Okay. Well, it took me a while to decode it. And my mother, my Catholic family, my parents, a little crazy, had their rhythm. They had a baby every 3 years. That's just how they did it.
Okay.
She wanted 6, she had 5, but I came in one sideways. I came in 2 years in this out of cycle, but they're planning.
Okay.
Right. So I don't know if they got drunk one night and, party over here, and here I am. But my mother was sick. With every pregnancy, she was sick for 9 months. So pregnancy for her was not fun. Right. And so I come in sideways as an accident. She is hateful about it because they're building the house, from what I gathered at that time. And she's very much a hands-on kind of woman. Right. You could give her a hammer, she'll swing. Like she's that kind of chick. You'll find her on the roof. You know what I mean? So all of a sudden she can't do any of this, and so resented being pregnant. But that got integrated in me. She hated being pregnant with me, right? So
Gotcha.
it came through, and when I was born, the moment I was born, she continues sort of like you're not supposed to be here,
Yeah.
My little brother, who came in 3 years later, she loved to death and overly kind of overwhelmed them with love, and I'm sitting right next to him. Invisible. So that was a very strange thing. So it was 5 years old when, as I'm feeling all this, since, at 5 years old, when my feelings connected with my thoughts, right? Because until you have cognizant brain,
Right.
as a baby, as a child, as a toddler, all you are is you're reactive and feeling. You're just feeling shit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. But at 5, I remember the very vivid moment when I realized, when my thoughts and my feelings came together, I'm like, oh shit, like there was a terrible mistake made here. Like I don't belong here. These are not my people. They don't like me. Like we like I'm not supposed to be here.
Yeah.
Which is what my mother felt, right? He's not supposed to be here.
And you bring up an interesting topic here about that brain body, that brain heart, that brain mind connection.
Yep.
You said you realized that when you were 5. So I've always heard that it's about 7 or 8 that you developed that. I'm curious, when does that actually develop?
Well, in my work, what we call the formative years is always between 5 and 11.
Gotcha.
But most of our injuries, the primary ones, are the ones that stick. All my clients, it's 5, sometimes 4. It's rare, 6, but it's 5 years old.
Yeah. Okay, cool. That makes sense.
But just statistic is just kind of what it is. Like it's just seemed to be like the awareness when you're awake, and if you're not loved right, it kind of comes together at 5. Like you just get it. Like this, and we take that personally. Like there's something wrong with me. That's what kids do.
Right.
Right. If you're not loved right, you think this because you're a piece of crap. And
that rings true for my story as well, because we adopted a little girl when I was 3 years old from the Marshallese Islands, and we had to readopt her back out when I was 6. And I remember having that belief when I was 6 years old that if I behaved poorly, if I behaved bad, my parents would give me away.
Ship you out. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So you have this realization at 5.
Yep.
Okay. And then what happens?
Well, so terrifying, mind-blowing, terrified. Like, so I have to, on some level, raise myself. That's, you know what I mean? And again, like Twilight Zone, what is this? How does that work? How is this possible? Right.
Yeah.
So what happened, I remember viscerally, my nervous system kind of turned outward. My radar went boom, boom, and I started watching the world and everyone in my family. At school, I was a kid by himself in the corner watching, like observed the world and people, because I trying to figure out what the hell is going on here and why am I here? And that kind of contributed to me being fascinated with the human condition, because like you watch humans, they're all different. And how does I remember in high school there was this 15-year-old kid, with straight hair that was kind of shaggy, and he would just kind of, he's sitting in front of the class, he would just throw his hair back with his fingers, and the girls would like pass out, right? Like he was cute, he had swag, he had somehow confidence at 15. Like how's that happen? He knows nothing. We know nothing at 15, right? Like
Yeah,
we're just
right.
awkward. But this dude, I'll never forget. And the girls like passing out, and this one's a dork, and this one's a math genius, right?
Mhm.
This one looks like he's homeless. This one thinks it's a fashion show. This
Uh-huh.
girl is this girl that. There's a slut. There's a hoe. There's a big one. Like, well, how does that? Like, how do? So fascinated with people and trying to decode how you get to be this way, and
Yeah.
who the hell am I? Really was the inquiry. So that was like I've been watching people literally since I was 5 years old. And if you understand when you do something that long, you develop an instinct, you develop an intuition, you develop a radar for.
Hmm.
So at one point, one of my favorite things to do is I would sit in the mall and watch people walk by, and I would pick up what they're going through.
Do you feel like that was a defense mechanism that you developed to survive at that young age?
Well, it was all about survival at that point. Like,
Yeah.
it's like I'm got to do this myself.
Right.
So it was sort of trying to understand, but also like, how am I going to make it out of this? Like,
Yeah.
how is this
Yeah.
going to work? What's the future? Like, again, I didn't think I was going to go far. I didn't. I was so visceral that I didn't belong here.
Yeah. And I'm curious too, like that's some very deep levels of awareness between the ages of 5 and 15. Do you think that's common for kids that age to develop a deep level of awareness like that? Or is that
Hmm.
a skill you had to develop because of your familial situation?
No, I think I look at my kids, and I have a boy and a girl, and they're
Mhm.
grown now. Because they didn't go through the trauma that I went through, right? Their life
Mhm.
was a lot more about being kids and innocent and playful and discovering
Yeah.
and adventure and fun, right? Not abandonment, neglect, abuse, right? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
so I think the ones who are traumatized kind of grow up faster. It's not necessarily better, but it's a different reality completely.
So
My
survival tactic. Yeah.
so, yeah, as nature does it, right? So in
Right.
nature, we'll talk about this later about how it happens on girls different than boys or men and women.
Mhm.
The trauma affects us and turns us inside out,
Okay.
and it's a defense mechanism. It's a natural defense mechanism.
Okay, cool. Yeah,
Fascinating.
we'll definitely talk about that. I'd love
Yeah,
to, but I'd still want to get through your story here. So
yeah.
you're 15, you're in the mall, you love watching people, and you're able to pick up what they're going through.
Hmm. Like I could tell she's depressed, she's overwhelmed, she's stressed out. He feels useless. Like I could just lock in on them and just pick up where they were feeling.
Yeah.
It's kind
Okay.
of weird, but like that was very, and disability, even when now with my clients, I could be on the phone,
Hmm.
not knowing the lady, talk about her husband, and I go right into him.
Mm,
Explain that. Like, so I think we're all energy, we're magnetic energy. And I
yeah.
think there's a magic to this that we, in our heads, viscerally kind of being logical, we can't explain, but I'm telling you, we all have that ability if you just practice it.
Yeah, it's a spiritual level of discernment.
It's quite wild. It's really helpful in
Yeah.
my work.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
okay. So you realize that you have this gift, you practice this muscle.
mm.
What happens then?
Well, I was still like, I was still kind of going, and then what? Like,
Yeah.
so I could feel people. Okay, then what? It's okay. Who am I still? Do you know what I mean? Like I
Yeah.
said, it's an ability that developed. But phase two of my life, or phase one of my life, outside of this, is when I started dancing. I went to a private high school, college.
Okay.
There was last year of high school into college, so it was a 3 year school program
Hmm.
back east. And private was very shishi. My dad did very well for us that way. And just like college, you have to sign up for your classes the week before, right?
Right.
And blah blah blah. We don't do this in high school, but so I was a swimmer. There was a guy. If you look for me in school at PE, you'll find me sitting at the bottom of the pool.
Hmm.
This is where I like to be,
Okay.
alone, in symbiotic kind of feeling at the
Yeah.
bottom of the Olympic-sized swimming pools, 13, 14 feet of waters. I'm sitting on the bottom, holding my breath for like 5, 6 minutes, coming up, take a breath, go back down. Like just isolated, alone. That's where I was. The water. The water is again, being at the bottom of a pool. I feel like that is a different reality. It's a different world, right?
Yeah.
I just like to be in this place where there was nothing.
Yeah. Do you feel like that was more peaceful for you?
It's completely peaceful, and it was nothing. Like, it was a different world. I could be just without all these thoughts and all these feelings. I could just be there. Like,
Okay. So
that
you
makes
felt
sense.
like, is to make sure I understand, it was a place for you to step away from reality.
Straight up.
Yeah.
And like I said, if you look for me, I must have on the pool. Like,
So I'm curious, how did you find that place as a place of peace and escape? Because that's not very, like, I haven't heard many stories of people who
Mm.
find peace and solace in the bottom of a pool.
Yeah, well, like I said, I mean, I like water. Actually love water. I love the water
Hmm.
on my face, on my skin, right? So for me, it was like soothing to just be in water.
Hmm.
And when I learned to breathe, to swim, you know this, right? Like you inhale,
Hmm.
face out, you blow out in the, as you swim. Like, so you're actually breathing in the regular rhythm if you went into swim, as opposed to
Right.
like keep your head outside the water trying to
Hmm.
win. So I understand the breathing part, and
Hmm.
and understanding that as soon as I exhale in the water, my body wants to sink because your lungs are empty, right? Oh,
Right.
that's kind of fun. So that's how it started. I started making bubbles to literally just let myself go to the bottom and just,
Okay.
oh, wow. It's a different world. It's a different
Yeah.
world, right? It's like being on a different planet. Like, it's just
Oh,
completely different. Like,
yeah. Yeah. I have to agree with you. I've done some scuba diving,
yep,
and
me
there's
too.
something so different about being under thousands of tons and thousands of
Yeah.
gallons of water that's just peaceful.
And you know this, by the way, also scuba diving, you have to have all the gear because it's such a different reality down there that you completely lose track of time. And people have died because they ran out of oxygen because there's no time down there.
Yeah.
Like a 45-minute tank, if you don't look on your gauge, you will actually miss it
Hmm.
because there's no time down there. It's a different, like, there's no time.
Hmm.
So it feels like 10 minutes, like 40 minutes. Damn, I got to give him, so it's interesting. So that's what I
Yeah.
was getting hooked on. I was getting on the just different reality.
That's
Just the
cool.
moment you pop your head out of the water and your ears come in and the sights come back, it's, oh, okay, I'm back. I'm here again.
There's reality.
It was
And
reality.
I'm curious about your knowledge about time dilation or the difference in like perspective, right? You go in the water, time is different. You're out of the water, time is different.
Yep.
Why do you think time is different?
Oh man, I think that's a very good question. Never thought of it. Why is it? But I think like anything else, if you don't have, we live on the surface so much more that we
Hmm.
have, there's a rhythm to everything. So when you've been screwing around or busy on something for about an hour, right? Like, you kind of have a
Right.
sense of that because everything around you, the sun moves, the clock is right there, and it's not necessarily, but like we have it, even going to sleep and thinking I have to get up at 6, you're gonna up like, you're gonna get up before the alarm. Like,
Hmm.
we even in sleep are aware of time and
Ah, that's a
and
good
time
point.
spent at the bottom of a pool. There's no reality that exists that is familiar. So it's just the bubbles, the noise, the fuzzy
Hmm.
water, right, and
Yeah.
and I felt like it was like in the womb, you know.
Okay. Yeah, that's really interesting. And you know, it kind of reminds me of like these stories in these times, like when you're doing the natural, the routine, the mundane, the consistent, the comfortable life, right?
Mhm.
Um, time is really slow. But when you're engaging in a good cause, when you are doing something beyond yourself, time flies by.
See?
Yeah, it's interesting that
That's
perspective.
that's very interesting.
Okay. Yeah. So sorry, back to your story.
Yep.
You're in the water, you find peace and solace there,
Mhm.
professional dancing, you're going to college.
Not yet, not yet. So
Oh, okay.
it's that first week in college. I guess like I was going to sign up for swimming,
Okay.
as in sit at the bottom of the pool,
Yeah.
right? But that week when we signed up for class before, we started college, this young girl who I didn't know existed, I did not know that she knew that existed. I was always invisible,
Hmm.
right? This little thing, Pithy, comes right up to me, goes, "Oh my God, oh my God!" She goes, "I want to take ballroom lessons for PE, but we have to register as a couple. Do you want to dance with me?" I'm like, "Wait, what?"
This random girl.
This random girl, I'd seen her before. I think we came from the same original high school.
Oh, okay.
but I didn't know her beyond that. We'd seen each other, but I didn't really know her. So it
Hmm.
comes right up to me, and we need to sign at that moment because the class is filling up, and we need, and I remember thinking, wait, I get to hold her in my arms? Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Mr. Invisible, right?
Yeah.
So that was it. A week later, so we first class. I'll never forget this. Is quite magical, and that was a blessing moment as well. Like
Yeah.
randomly, she comes at me. My life changed completely because of that moment. I've had
Yeah.
that like 3 times in my life.
Okay.
So first class ever, I hold it in my arms. We learned the ballroom frames, the ballroom class. The
Hmm.
teacher's on my right, and everything. I think the first thing we learned was the cha cha. And
Okay.
all I could tell you, I'm getting these goosebumps. It's crazy. It was such a visceral. Whatever he did, I could just do it. I just do it
You just picked it
like
up that quick.
instantly. Like I could just like copy it instantly. I'm like, well, that's interesting,
Hmm.
right? Like I've never been in a dance class in my life. I'm like 15 years old, almost 16, right? Like, huh.
Hmm.
But so
Why
that
do
was
you
interesting.
Yeah,
I
why do you think the human mind is that way, that it can just pick up things like
I
that?
don't know. I don't know. I'm very visual from me watching since I was
Yes.
5. So I've always been like this. I see something and so, but I didn't even know that came from that. So 4 months into dance class,
Hmm.
right? I'm now the teacher's assistant because I learned everything the moment he shows it, and I could help the other students.
Hmm.
And then all the girls want to dance with me because the other guys aren't picking it up. So I go from invisible to star.
Okay. There
Wow,
we go.
okay, interesting. But I have
Overnight.
to say the biggest thing about this was because I was a miserable, sad kid. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like when you put together the vibrations of music
Hmm.
and your muscles moving, right? And
Hmm.
connecting the music with your body, right? When these two come together, vibration light wise, it lifts your spirit. Like it
Yes.
just, like it's like breathes air into you, right? It's like
Hmm.
singers know this very well. You see singers sometimes they're singing their hearts out and they're crying, right? Like that
Hmm.
when they hit that note, there's kind of a God vibration or some beyond, it's his voice and the sound and the music and whoa, it moves people.
Yeah.
Well, that's what happened to me in the first class. Like I just like I think I smiled the first time in my life in that class. Like I just like that just like breathed life into me. Like, oh wow, like this is like I want to like it's just she literally shifted me. And so that's all
Yeah.
I wanted to do. And the whole idea is that 4 months later, like I just sucked it all up as much as possible. It just, and when I said dancing saved my life, because it actually did save my life.
Yeah. Were you suicidal around that time
At
going into
times,
college?
very
Yeah.
much at times, very much at times, all the way through, actually, all the way through. And
Gotcha.
and in God's with God's guidance, like every time I thought of it, right,
Hmm.
there was a tug right here. There's a little like a little tug in my heart that would go, nope, nope.
Yeah.
You're here
For,
for a reason. There's something big coming. There's something you're something big. You're not. It's not random, right? So
okay.
okay, oh, another day.
It's
Okay, that's
it's
another day, and that happened throughout my entire life,
hmm.
until the big calling, which I understood, because when I started dancing, like I said, I made it a profession. Michael
Hmm.
Jackson's and all these guys, and so I thought that little tug before then I was going to be a star, right? Like something
Yeah.
big, something. All I'm doing is dancing. All I want to do is dance. I'm
Hmm.
really good at it, right? So that's how I made my way to the top. But I
Hmm.
thought that was going to be it, though. There's no real dance stars anymore. Fred
Hmm.
Astaire was the last one. There's no such thing.
Hmm.
So I'm doing shows and music videos into industrials, right? Auditioning for commercials and movies, and so it's all work, but that doesn't make a star.
Right.
You know what I mean? So but I thought, hey, you know what I mean? So as I was actually in the circle and working professionally, J-Lo was one of us,
Hmm.
and J-Lo went to stardom, right? It's like you have to
Hmm.
be on the train, and sometimes people get popcorn up, right? So J-Lo
Yeah.
was a backup dancer for In Living Colors,
Hmm.
and all of a sudden she's J-Lo, right? Like,
Right.
so that happens. So anyway, that's what I thought, a version of what could happen, that it was whole to continue for that reason.
So, do you think the reason that people raise to the stardom, is it like a specific frequency that they can get on? Is it just pure luck? Is it the right timing? Is it the people you know? What do you think are the catalysts to, and I think this is important just for any person in any life, right? Because
Yeah,
anyone
yeah,
can go up.
right.
So yeah, what are some of those key things that you think help people go up?
You have to have the talent,
Hmm.
right? You have to get behind it and be resilient, right? You have
Hmm.
to be stubborn about it, because at one point I'm like, before I actually started making money dancing, like I was raised to go to school. I was going to
Hmm.
be an architect. So I would
Okay.
battle my brain constantly, like, what am I doing? What are you going to make with dancing? What kind of life are you going to build with dancing? Like it's unsustainable. It's not,
Hmm.
you know what I mean? Because we go from gig to gig to gig to gig,
Right.
like musicians who struggle, right? Like,
Right.
so, but again, the calling, the pulling, and so, but I was constantly battling. Am I stupid here? Where's
Yeah.
this going to lead to until it led to? But, um, so resilience, talent, right? Pushing through, believing in yourself, putting yourself
Hmm.
in the right places, right places, right places, right places. And like I said, all these jobs that I got, like it was an audition. Michael Jackson's audition was a 4-day adventure. We auditioned for 4 days.
Oh my gosh.
You know what I mean? Is they put you to the ringer. They want the best of the best. And
Hmm.
they put us through everything. And it started with 1,200 people. And after day one, they cut us down to 500. After day two, we're down to 200.
Hmm.
And the last day, there's 50 of us, 50 guys, 50 girls.
Hmm.
And now they put us through all kinds of routines, all kinds of dance style, like and couple stuff that most of the people don't do. I was ballroom dancer, right? Like couple,
Hmm.
bring it. Let me throw a girl up in the air. I could do this, right? Like so they're just literally trying to eliminate. And at the end, by the time we got 50 boys, 50 girls, we're all the same kind of level,
Hmm.
right, of talent and ability. And so now they match us by body style. So I was always ending up at the end of an audition with next to my friend Joaquin. We have the same height. We have the same kind of hair. Mine's longer, but he kind of shaggy, curly hair. He's
Hmm.
Latino. I'm French, right?
Hmm.
So, but we have the same kind of body, a little more muscular, whatever. But like they would go, okay, okay, yeah, stand together. They're trying to eliminate one of us. Stand together. Right? Which one do we
Gotcha.
like the most? Right? I go, stand with the girl. Stand with that girl. Okay. Okay, you stand with that girl. Okay, no, switch. Right? Like they really like at the end, they're just like just like what's the word here? It's like they're the minute
Super nitty
differences
gritty. Yeah.
trying to eliminate because all they needed was 10. There's
Gotcha.
50. There's 50 guys. We need 10. How are you going to eliminate them? Same with the girl. Anyway,
Yeah.
so my point is like it takes talent to get to that point, right? Like,
Yeah.
and so there was
Absolutely.
there was constant training and all that stuff. So, but the opportunity also, like I remember I wasn't going to go to audition because
Hmm.
I'd been on the road for a few months, and when you don't continue training, just like you know, any other vocation, but dancing, especially in music, like you lose your timing, you lose your edge, like really quickly.
Right.
You lose your strength, even in your alignment in your body. So,
Hmm.
like that has to be maintained. So I was on the road for months, and
Hmm.
I come back, and there's a Michael Jackson audition, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm gonna just suck. I'm gonna suck. I'm out of shape. I
Hmm.
didn't look out of shape, but like I said, that little edge. So I almost didn't go, but I
Hmm.
showed up because often the artist is there. So I met everybody just auditioning for them,
Hmm.
and I got the job.
Nah,
Okay,
it's incredible.
boom. And then about 4 months later, I danced with Prince. Same thing, audition, got hired. Paul Abdul came about a year later, and we ended up like touring for 2 years, but touring, dancing, teaching. So it was a dance
Hmm.
convention that she created,
Okay.
and performance. So yeah, Julio Iglesias was music video.
Yeah.
He did a whole He did a tango, Argentine tango album that was only released in South America or in Latin America, whatever. So we did a series of music videos for the album, like 6 of them over an entire week, and doing Argentine tango. It was freaking awesome. Anyways,
It sounds like
but
so
yeah.
what kind of mindset did you have about yourself at that time that allowed you to like achieve that high level of success?
Mm. Well, I think I was so again from when I started to kind of waking up to what I'm good at to leaning into it and making it happen.
Hmm.
I remember when I got off the road, right when I got off the road before Michael, I got an agent in Los Angeles, right? You have to be part of the system. There's a whole system. Like you just don't show up to an audition. You don't even know what it
Right.
is, right? So you have to have an agent and all that. whatever, they negotiate for you. But at one point, I remember I was auditioning for something, and the director, producers, whatever, they're sitting in front of us, and they kind of, as they're keeping us, I want to say, right? They would actually like interview us one-on-one. And at one point, the question is like, so if you could be anybody in the world, right, who would you want to be?
Yeah.
And I looked at him like, no one. Me?
Yeah. That's
Me?
cool.
He goes, you don't want to be, and I remember, I think he said Michael Jackson, like, you don't want to be like that kind of caliber. I'm like, Michael is Michael. I want to be me. And because I was on my way to, like, the way my life developed and discovered, like, what else is going to happen here, right? So I had a sense of that, and I think that's what you're asking.
Yeah.
Like I know who I am, I know what I want, and I'm doing it, and it's working.
That's cool. That's so interesting coming from like that sad, young, depressed, suicidal boy to the I know who I am.
Yeah,
like
it's crazy.
Yeah, that is super crazy. And
but the dancing is what did it. Because I want to say, like I said, that lifting, do you get, like, every emotion we have creates a chemical reaction in our bodies.
Right.
When we cry, there's a chemistry. When we laugh, there's a chemistry, right? We feel happy, there's a chemistry. When we're uplifted, there's chemistry. Like, so these feeling, right? So what happened is, as I danced more and more and more and more and more, and at the end I was dancing every day, twice a day, right? Until rehearsal is 8 hours of dancing. Like, so the the chemistry in my body shifted my brain. That depressed boy, right, was kind of moved out of the way by this dopamine rush of feeling good and feeling good, smiling, feeling happy, right? And it's like, so using my body to change my brain is what happened to dancing.
That's hey everybody, just a quick break from today's episode because I've got some exciting news for you. Now, as you know, we're featuring on Andre Paradis in this week and next week's episodes, diving deep into some amazing relationship insights. But here's the best part. Now, on November 22nd, we're taking it a step further with a free live Q&A featuring Andre himself. Now, this is your chance to ask Andre any relationship questions you've been thinking about. Whether it's something we've covered in these episodes or a completely new topic, you'll actually get some direct answers from one of the top relationship experts in the world. So to join this Q&A, it's super simple. All you need to do is email me. Right, my email is chase@thewellnesscenter.life. One more time, that's Chase, CHASE, just like the bank, at thewellnesscenter.life. And I'll make sure you get the link. Now, don't miss out on this rare opportunity to connect with Andre and get personalized advice. Spaces are limited. Even though it's free, spaces are limited, so reach out soon. All right, now let's get back to the episode.
Happened to dancing.
That's really interesting you talk about that. I think dopamine is so important, right? Like I'm a recovered addict, right? I work mental health. That's kind of a lot what I do. I think dopamine is huge.
I mean, for boys, for men more so too, by the way.
Yeah. Do you feel like dopamine, like, was it an addiction at first for you that you were getting that validation from being so good? And
it was, well, go ahead. Sorry.
And no, you're good. And I'm also curious too, that if you look, coming from the addict perspective, right? Most of the time, those big dumps of dopamine continuously damage the brain, right? They hurt and harm the person.
Yep.
How was that different for you?
I mean, there's a lot of ways to get dopamine, right? Cocaine, alcohol, food, right? Sex.
Right.
Mine was dancing, and it's not damaging. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's okay.
It's not a damaging addiction. I just maybe want to get up in the morning. Maybe want to live another day. Maybe want to go. I went from being depressed to being okay-ish, right? And to thinking, this is pretty good, right?
Yeah.
To like literally shifting it to, well, maybe I could make something of myself, and maybe this could be a good life. Like it just the chemistry of being constantly uplifted, literally heal my head.
Yeah, I'm curious, and I think this question is going to bring about a really powerful lesson for the listeners here. You pursued, again, you talked about being an architect earlier, which is a very, respectable, great career. You knew that you were meant to dance, right? What was it in you that allowed you the opportunity to actually take a step and pursue your heart?
Ooh, good question. So midway through this adventure, right? So At one point, I left the East Coast and moved to the West Coast. So on the East Coast, it was ballroom everywhere. This is
Mhm.
shortly after school. There was a ballroom club everywhere. We used to,
Mhm.
me and my buddy from class, we used to break in with fake IDs to dance with old ladies.
Okay. Okay.
That's the kind of rebel we were. Drinking orange juice, not under like drinking orange juice and dancing with all the old girls,
There you
right?
go.
And we're the two studs in the space that kind of took over, right? This is our fun on the weekend.
Yeah.
So anyway, so I moved to the West Coast. I'm 19 years old. I went to the West Coast, and there's zero ballroom. It doesn't exist.
Okay.
There's like Arthur Murray, which is $50 a class, and it's not at all like it's a different beast completely. It's not fun. It's right. It's not. So all right, interesting. So there's nothing to do. At the time, it was like, jazzercise and jazz hands and head warmers and leg warmers and headbands and ridiculous stuff.
Yeah.
But I found myself seeking out where is there dancing I was in Vancouver. Where is there dancing? And I found a jazz studio. And I remember looking through the window, jazz hands, and like there's an hour of exercise and training and strength building before you dance. Like it's an hour and a half class. You're body conditioning for an hour before you even
Mhm.
do anything. So I'm like, well, that's not what we do in ballroom. In ballroom, you change your shoes. That's it, right?
Gotcha. Okay.
You don't really warm up. So this is like, well, that's not what I do, right?
Yeah.
But my roommate had a roommate at the time I was working at IKEA, getting my life together, and she says one Saturday morning she woke me up early. She said we're going to dance class because I told her about the place that I found, and she's
Mhm.
like, oh my god, I'd love to take it anyway. Anyway, so she wakes me up and she decides we're going to go to dance class. So off I went.
Mhm.
Right? Took the class. It was very challenging because,
Mhm.
I was not flexible. And I remember it took me a week to recover from walking. I was completely destroyed because I'm a little bit vain. And so I'm not going to
Yeah.
be, right? So I forced everything that I shouldn't have. Anyway, but that's also what kind of lit the fire. I'm like, this is a challenge. I like a good challenge. This is
Okay.
hard.
Okay.
Right? So I went to class and I went to class every Saturday because we're working full time. I went to class
Mhm.
Saturday. She fell out because she came with me a few times. Then she fell out, but I kept going because
Mhm.
again, right? Lift my
Yeah.
spirit, lift my spirit, lift my
Yeah.
spirit. Like this is the crazy part. At 3 months into this, like 3 months of jazz dancing does not make you a dancer, right? It's you basically know nothing. You're just standing up a little better. That's it. Like you're just right. Your
You
brain is
wiggle.
in
You,
there.
you can wiggle till you sweat.
Yeah, and but the brain is in there. You have to like it takes forever. There's a lot of brain training to be able to copy what the teacher's teaching, right? There's a
Yeah.
huge so there's a physical component, there's a flexibility component, there's a strength component physically, there's alignment component, but the brain is the last thing to like tune in to be able
Mhm.
to somebody shows you something and you can just copy it, right? It's all brain training, which is the last piece. So that's why it takes 5 years to make a dancer.
Gotcha. Okay.
So get this is crazy. This is my life is a novel. So 3 months into me showing up on a regular basis at the studio. So
Mhm.
I think at one point I was doing both Saturday and a Tuesday night, beginner
Gotcha.
class, right? I got a scholarship.
Like a dancing scholarship?
I got a dance scholarship. They would train me for free
Okay.
because they saw the ability. And I'm like, I have no idea what I'm doing here.
And
I
at this
want
point, were
to,
you dancing in college too?
what's that? This is
Wha-
like, that's coming out of college into
Okay.
living as an adult, like 3,000 miles away.
Gotcha. Okay.
So it took me a while to find. Anyway, so they gave me a scholarship. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. That's great. So now I actually get to dance for free. So
Deal.
right for 6 months, great. Well, 6 months later, another scholarship. Okay, 6 months later, another scholarship. I never paid for my training. Now this is baffling because I was doing it for fun, but now I'm
Mhm.
being fed this journey, right? This life, right?
Yeah.
But I'm supposed to go to school and be an architect. So within I think the fourth or fifth scholarship, right? Then I became very flexible. I became, so like everything kind of came in. I was really good at this. I just had to learn like anybody else.
Yeah. It's about 2.5, 3 years, right?
Yeah. So I got there in a little bit 2.5 years, where it takes typically 5 years to get
Yeah.
to that level.
Okay.
So, but I trained a lot, right? I trained a lot.
Mhm.
So, so when I'm like thinking, well, it looks like I'm looking in the directions of my life and what's coming at me like seemingly randomly, I'm like, looks like this is where I'm going. but my brain being logical and like it's supposed to be an architect, right? So this lifts my spirit and my heart. The other one makes sense. This is a lot more fun, but this is smarter,
Yeah.
right? Like, and then I thought, you know what? So give it 2 years. Give it 2 years. You know what I mean?
So
I'm 23 years old at that time. Like, give it 2 years, see if this goes somewhere. You actually, if it doesn't, you'll be at peace, at least knowing that you tried.
Yeah.
As opposed to all this pulling and then just, right? So, okay, sure, that works. So that's how I actually got my brain to calm down about letting that go for a while, just see what happens here, and then.
So you gave yourself that deadline of if this isn't a professional career, if I'm not making money in 2 years, I'll go back to being an architect.
If this is, I mean, life has a way of showing up right in your face. If something is not for you, it will show it, right? So I gave myself 2 years to see if it was going to do something or it was going to be just for fun, right?
Yeah. So during those 2 years, what level of commitment did you put into it, right? Because I know some people that'll say, yeah, I'll put in 2 years, but then they just kind of try and let life naturally present itself.
Again, if you understand, all I wanted to do is be in class and sweat and dance to lift my spirit, and just like that's just made me right.
So you gave everything for those 2 years.
I gave everything for 2 years, but get this: this is when I got it. This is when I got it because I didn't know why this was happening. Really, I wasn't trying that. It's just coming at me. Okay. So if you're going to take this seriously, you have to go back to the basis. What's the basics? The basics is ballet, for the alignment, for the strength, for the body alignment, right? For the positioning, the lines, right? So if you're going to be a professional dancer, you have to. Most people start with ballet. I didn't, right? And so the calling was like, if you're going to take it to the level, you got to really be on your stuff, right? And you got to like go back to the source, even though you have the rhythm, the timing, and all that stuff, the lines, the strength. Okay. So there was a company, there was a studio in Vancouver. It was called the Go Ballet, GOH. They were a Korean ballet company. So all their students were from Korea. It was a pink castle. It was huge. Dance studios typically struggle, right? This is a pink, so whoever funded this, the Koreans, I'm guessing, and they would have their student coming from Korea on a regular basis. So they had regular open classes. So I go, if I'm going to do ballet, let's go where the ballet is, right? So I go to take a class as like an adult class, right? It's not framed as like, it's ongoing, but you show up when you show up, and right, it's an adult class.
Gotcha.
I show up to check it out. I get a scholarship.
Of course you do.
Well, I'm like, I don't understand, like, because I'm not a ballet dancer.
Right.
Now I have some lines, I have some style, I have some, some strength and blah, 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 but I'm not a ballet dancer. And so when they offer me scholarship, I'm like, I don't understand. And remember the teacher, his name was Chun. Nice man, right? And he goes, you don't understand. He goes, you're built for this. He goes, your feet, your turnout, the length of your legs, your torso, your waist ratio, right? The width, you're built for this.
Interesting.
So that's what they all, I guess, saw all the way through on some level. Like, and again, I had the talent, but not in ballet, for God's sake. Anyway, so that's when I kind of like, oh, okay, interesting. And sure enough, I have all of that. Like, this is everybody struggles with their turnout. I have natural turnout. Right? My legs are straight.
Yeah, that's cool. I'm curious about these scholarships that we've been talking about.
Yeah.
Are these scholarships kind of along the lines of, hey, we'll train you for free, go compete, make us money kind of thing? Or is it
kind of,
or is it, I want you to be a protege. I want to be able to say that I trained the next Andre Paradis, kind of thing.
It was more at the time, like I said, it was the beginning levels right, at the time, trying to work my way to be professional. But it was more like, we believe in you. And so, we'll support you into your adventure.
Cool.
They did that with two people all the time. So it's almost like they're giving back kind of thing, paying it forward.
Gotcha.
So the ballet one was like mind blowing, but I kind of understood then. Now all of a sudden I'm built for this. I love it. I'm good at it, and I'm built for it.
You had the right turnout, all that stuff. He
called it my skeleton. The proportion of my skeleton is perfect.
Cool.
For that.
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
got one quick question about ballet before you
Yeah.
continue with your journey, and I appreciate you hearing me out on all my tangents. Do you feel like one was ballet very vital for your dancing career? And two, do you feel like ballet would actually be a good resource and tool for other careers like football players, law enforcement, or CEOs? Do you think that could be a beneficial skill for them?
It's for sure because the discipline, the strength, like, ballet dancers are the toughest, like they're in better shape than any football player.
Gotcha.
There's a lot of data on this. So they're like the level of athleticism required that you build is insane. From the flexibility to the strength to the lines to the tricks, right? I don't know if you've ever seen Barishnikov jump. It was
Mm.
insane.
You're going to have to go into some of those numbers because I'm having a hard time seeing how a ballet dancer, right? Just the stigma of them, or the
Right.
stereotype of them would be stronger than like football players.
Yeah. Well, because the training is all about the body alignment, the slow movement, the flexing, the building
Mm.
your strength. Because the muscles typically want to be two things naturally. Some people are naturally flexible, and the more
Hmm.
flexible your muscles are, the weaker they are. They don't contract very well.
Gotcha.
People that are strong have contracted muscles, but they're not flexible.
Gotcha.
So the training in dancing is all about long muscle stretch, snap, boom, boom, oh, boom. It's the both extremes that is unnatural for the body, but you could condition yourself to that. So ballet dancers are very thin, very muscular, but also very flexible and strong. It's like, so that's the training to really get the muscles to react in a way that we need for the dancing. So
So
they
it's kind
put
of it's a perfect balance of both of them.
it is, and
Okay.
and there's there were football players in ballet class.
I've heard that NFL
For
players take
sure.
ballet. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I totally get it because, as much as you want to say kind of sissy like with the pink tights or the white tights and the bulge and all that, that's not like it's a kick in the freaking head.
Okay.
Like I like in just the warm up, right? They call it the ballet bar, right? After
Mhm.
every class, I would be standing in the puddle before we started dancing. Like
Wow.
standing in the puddle, I had to mop the floor, especially with the men in class,
Hmm.
but just for the warm up
You
before we
make
started
me
dancing.
you're making me want to get into ballet class.
I'm telling you, it's some stuff. It'll kick your butt in a way that you can't imagine. So,
Okay.
but then people do ballet and then even regular dance class, jazz classes for timing, for tuning. When I was teaching, I had some actors that needed to learn how to move, but I had musicians that would take dance class because it helped the rhythm.
Okay.
Interesting, right?
Interesting. Yeah.
Very interesting.
So
So,
at
yeah,
this point in your life, right, do you have your own students? Do you have your own people that you're teaching at this point, or you're still learning?
I'm I'm just I'm just learning to become professional. So what I
Okay.
did halfway through, so another story. I had a woman in class who
Hmm.
was an older woman. She's 42 years old. I was like 24,
Okay.
maybe 25. Um, who like saw beyond, I don't know how to explain it. What I'm telling you, she ended up paying for my private training outside of all the dance class for free, outside the Go Ballet,
Hmm.
right? One of the Go mistress became my one-on-one teacher twice a week. She would torture me with alignment and strength, like torture, right? This woman
Hmm.
was a tyrant, but
Okay.
it got me strong and like so. But this woman was just generously just. I go, why are you paying for me? That's crazy. It's private lessons. It's insane. You have to
Hmm.
pay for the studio, for the teacher. Do you know what I mean? Because it's
Yeah.
private. And she goes, don't worry. You'll pay it forward. This is what you meant to do. Like,
Other people knew too.
crazy stuff, right?
Yeah.
So halfway through that, as I'm getting the fine tuning of being really what do you call a professional,
Hmm.
um, I was dancing so much that I didn't want to work. Like I couldn't work. I didn't want to work 10-hour shifts, so 8-hour shift that turned into 10 hour, right?
Yeah.
So the same woman says to me, she goes, "Why don't you start teaching?" I go, "I can't teach. I'm not a professional." She goes, "You don't think you could teach a beginner class, please?" And I'm like, "Oh, I could teach a beginner class." So
Yeah.
I started making money doing that. And at one
Okay.
point, I was teaching at UCLA, which is the big, not UCLA, University of Vancouver.
Okay.
I was teaching in a different studio. I was like 15 classes a week or so. So I was making a living dancing, and I was dancing. I was training.
Okay. Cool.
So kind of a crazy, again, looking back, it's like, how did that all work?
I don't
But-
believe in coincidences, right? I'm a spiritual, God-fearing man, and I don't. Yeah, no such thing as a coincidence.
Well, get this. This is pivotal moment. So,
Yeah.
in Vancouver, like around the United States, people don't know this if you're not in the dance world. There's competitions. Like many companies doing like competitions. So for the weekend, you go away, and for 3 days, you take dance class with professionals from around the world who come into the city and then fly out. Right? Dance conventions.
Okay.
Very popular. People compete. They do shows. They do an evening with all the competition stuff that we judge, and it's a huge business. So same thing in dance studios. There's always a summer program with some, like guests from outside of town coming in to fill up the classes because in the summer it kind of dies. So you have to like generate, right? So guest teachers. There was a guy from Los Angeles who used to come up on a regular basis. When he was in town, I would be his assistant. I was the one in class assisting him. It sounds like me, right? Like he was just like, dude, can you assist me? Right. So one summer, we were all over the province because he came up and kind of hit a bunch of studios in a 6 or 7 week period. And I kind of went with him. At one point he says, I'm going to produce my demo reel. Like actors have demos, singers have demos, right? You send it to your agent, the agent sends it out to, whatever.
Yeah.
So he says, I'm doing my demo reel in LA next month or 2 months later. And he goes, I want you to come down and be my dance captain. Dance captain runs the show, runs the dancers. Like,
gotcha. Okay.
Teaches, cleans up, right? Frames it, right? Dance captain. So the guy in charge of the dancers.
Cool.
To get them ready to be filmed, right?
Okay.
And he goes, you can stay with me, bring your girlfriend, because he knew my girlfriend. He goes, bring your girlfriend, you guys can spend 2 weeks in LA, you'll help me with this, and then you could vacation the rest of the time. Done, of course. But get this is my life, the novel. We get to LA Thursday night. Friday we have rehearsal. I met the crew, I met the dancers, blah, blah, blah. It went well. And the studio where we rehearse, on a Saturday night, there was a party for dancers. Like, so all local professional dancers, the people I want to be part of, there's a party for them.
Okay.
Everybody's 25 years old. Everybody's in the life, doing it. So, of course, it was fun. So Saturday night, so at the studio party, hey. So my girl, we're dancing with a party. Like, I want to be part of these people, but I'm Canadian and I'm visiting. So at one point, everybody's 25 years old or so, right? And there's an old guy in the space, probably mid 40s, maybe older, leather jacket, right? And I when I spotted him, I'm thinking, well, I don't know what he's doing here, right? But he's looking at me, and 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 I'm like, oh, we're in LA, okay. So I turned my back. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So I'm like, oh, it's really, right? Like, I'm dancing with a girl.
He's a scout.
Well, right?
Right.
I'm thinking he's trying to pick me up.
Right.
Right. Anyway, so as I turn my back and then come back, I'm dancing with my girl. He's kind of right there in my sight. And now my buddy who asked me to come down is talking with him. They know each other.
Okay.
And they're clearly talking about me. They're looking at me. And I'm like, what the hell is he doing?
Right.
What's he doing? He knows me. I have a girlfriend. Like, what is he? So something really weird is happening. And then he waves me over. I'm like, oh my God.
No.
He's out of his mind. But at that age, I was still polite. Today I would flip him off. But back then I was like, being respectful. Right. So I walk over there and I shake the man's hand. And he says, Andre, this is Steve. Steve, this is Andre. And I'm like, yeah. In my head. And we're in the back of the studio. I'll never forget this. So my buddy grabs him at the elbow. There's an exit door right behind us. It's open because it's hot. He throws me outside and he goes, what the hell's wrong with you? I go, I don't know what you're doing to me. He goes, no, dumbass. He goes, this is Steve Merritt. He choreographed a national show. He lost a dancer 4 months ago. He can't replace him. You're exactly what he's looking for. So how about you say nice, you say hi to Steve nicely. Oh,
Oh
okay.
shoot. Okay.
Oh, shoot. Right. So I go inside. Hey, right.
So nice to meet you now.
So nice to meet you now, right? Because it's a different story.
Right.
But sure enough, he tells me, he's a national show. They're touring. They have two touring companies. They have two local shows going, and he's lost one of his dancers 4 months ago that he can't replace. He can't find. He's been auditioning in Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm.
He goes, "You're what I'm looking for. You're exactly what I want." So 2 days after landing in Los Angeles, I get my own Hollywood store. I get literally like discovered in the freaking club, right? In the dance studio. Right. So
wow.
I know it's crazy stuff.
That's crazy.
He came
so rare.
It's
So
stupid.
rare. Yeah.
Stupid. But that moment changed my life completely. Again,
Yeah.
same with that girl in high school. We said, dance with me. Changed my whole life. That moment, a pivotal. This was a pivotal moment.
Yeah.
So enough that my girlfriend could go home on her own, and we're going to be a summer thing. So we both knew it was not going to go anywhere. And she's like, "Go! Are you kidding me? Go!" And so this was like Saturday night. Sunday, he's like, he says you're amazing, but I need to see you dance. So he came by the studio on Sunday where we were rehearsing. I'll never forget. I saw the black Corvette pull up on the parking lot, and sure enough, it's in the window. And he's like, 4 minutes. He's like, I go, yeah. He goes, okay, so we start tomorrow, 9:00, Catnap Studio in Venice. I need you.
In Venice.
Venice is an area called Venice, off the beach, Venice Beach.
Yeah.
So we're in the valley. Venice is like 40 minutes away, whatever. But the studio, that's where the studio is. So the Catnap Studio in Venice, tomorrow morning, 9:00. I need you. He goes, you understand, we start rehearsal for 3 weeks and then we're on the road. I need you. And I go, okay.
Cool.
Done. So we worked all that out. We rehearsed for 3 weeks, and then we're on the road. And I was on the road for a year and a half with a show called Chippendales.
Okay. Not a okay.
You see it?
Yep, I've heard of Chippendales.
Yeah. So now, interesting. Chippendales there was 15 of us in the group with the crew, right? There's 15 of us traveling up and down the East Coast. There's 6 strippers and 4 backup dancers.
Okay.
But the standard for the show, the backup dancers had to look like strippers on some level. Muscular, lean, tight, all that stuff. That's why he's having a hard time finding somebody to replace the dancer, because dancers don't look like this.
Gotcha.
Okay, got it. Okay, got it. All right. So I wasn't a stripper. I was backup dancing with the strippers, right? But
okay.
Life on the road, sex, drug, rock and roll is fantastic. A year and a half of that, and eventually I quit because it's just a job, right? It doesn't get me anywhere. That's how when I settled in Los Angeles, and I got my agent, then Michael Jackson, everything else from there. But that job, right, paid. Yeah, so it allowed me to save all the money on the road because you pay for nothing, right? You have a car, like nothing, everything's paid for.
Yeah, they take care of you.
So that money goes directly in your pocket and you save it. And that allowed me to get settled in Los Angeles because I was Canadian.
Okay. Wow.
I know.
What a crazy story, man. Holy cow.
And there's more.
Well, let's keep going, man. I'm curious because I know you said that you had 3 life-changing events.
Yeah.
We've heard 2. Right. So, okay. So you're back, you get settled in Los Angeles, you're performing with Michael Jackson, you do the stuff with Paula Abdul, auditioning, getting these gigs, going like crazy.
Traveling the world
yeah.
Constantly. Yeah.
Then what?
Well, so the model for dancers and actors and singers is, you perform in town or out of town, you come back and you teach. Right? That's how you fill up your space when in between gigs. Right, gotcha. Depending how busy you are. So you perform, you come back, you teach. You perform, you come back, you teach. You come back, whatever. It's very easy to fill up a class when you dance with Michael Jackson. Very easy.
So was it just like individual classes that you would do, or would you have consistent clients?
No, consistent classes. I had a weekly schedule, and the business allows you. They understand that if you go dance professionally. Right, they get a sub for your class because the class has to go on because the studio is running with hundreds. but again, it's they understand that the magic is you go away and you kind of mess us up for a little while because the class drops radically. But when you come back, it fills up again because you're the guy who Michael Jackson, right? Like so,
Right.
there's a
Okay.
lot of status in pulling people towards. So the studios understand this. So there's always that flexibility.
Gotcha.
Anyway, so I met my wife in my class,
Cool. Okay.
right? So waiting for her, knew she was coming 4 months prior. Another story, another woo-woo story. And sure enough, she walked in and like, this is the girl. In 2.5 minutes, this is the girl. This is her. She's right there. I knew she was coming, and there she is. Right. So
Hey guys, thank you for tuning in to today's episode. But before you go, I wanted to remind you about an incredible opportunity that's coming up. Right, as you've been hearing in this week's and next week's episodes, we've been diving into some really powerful insights with Andre Paradis. But it doesn't end there. On November 22nd, we're hosting a free live Q&A session where you can ask Andre your own relationship questions. Now, this is a rare chance to get direct advice from a leading world-class expert. Whether it's about something we've discussed on the show or a completely new question, all you need to do is email me. I'll make sure to get you the link so that you can join. Don't wait too long. Spots are limited, and I really don't want you guys to miss out. All right, that's it for today, guys. Thank you again so much for tuning in. Tune in next week for Andre, the second part of Andre's episode, and I hope to see you guys at the Q&A. See you later.